Hello Motorrider World fans and welcome to Paddock talking MotoGP Sepang Friday. I'm doing it in my car, as you can see, because I'm no longer alone in my house. I've got my two beautiful babies with me and my gorgeous wife, so it's a little bit chaotic up there. So I thought I'd quickly bring you this little bit of a review on day one in Sepang, a tricky day one in Sepang. It felt like a lot of tension in the air. It really did. Certainly in the case of Fabio, Pecco, Aleix Espargaro, the last three that are really in contention for the World Championship. Pecco, it's a different ball game for him now, because up till now he's been chasing. He hasn't had that pressure of leading the World Championship. He now leads it with 2 rounds to go. Fabio has been kind of the carrot that everyone's been chasing, but the pressure's more on Pecco now, and we're going to have to see how Pecco handles that pressure. It wasn't a good day one for him. He's outside of the Q2 at the moment. He ended the day in P11. Didn't take advantage or didn't have the strategy as many did in FP1, knowing that there would be potential rain for FP2. A lot of the riders, including our very own Brad Binder, put a new tyre on for the final stages of FP1 and managed to get in a really good time to put themselves potentially into Q2, knowing that the weather was going to be bad for FP2. FP3 and Saturday looks like it's going to be dry, but you can never play those kind of games in MotoGP. You've always got to take advantage of every situation, and Brad Binder took the most advantage there. But yeah, Pecco outside the top 10 in 11th at the moment. FP2 was wet and dried out towards the end, but it was kind of a pointless session in many ways, that FP2, because it started off wet, then it dried out, but you don't want to go waste slicks on a drying out track that you know you're not going to go faster on. There was no ways you were going to better the FP1 time, so save it for FP3. Hopefully that'll be dry. So Pecco, yeah, a little bit of a mistake there from him and the team strategy-wise. As I said, Brad and KTM took advantage of that and put themselves at the top of the timesheets. Brilliant there by Brad. But, you know, it's brilliant, and I'm excited and I'm happy, but not a lot of people took advantage. I think it was, only a handful of guys that actually went out on new tires that posted those times. A lot of the field didn't go out. So not a true reflection yet, but it was great for Brad to go out on a medium rear and put in a pretty competitive time. That's, I think, where the race pace is going to be. So I think it's going to play out pretty much how every kind of weekend plays out for Brad. I think they might not have the pace, the outright paces, the Ducatis and some of the other guys on the soft tires, potentially in FP3 and qualifying. I think he's going to be in the mix, certainly, but I think Sunday, come race pace, when it's race pace time on the hard, medium or hard, whatever combination they're going to have to go, I think Brad and KTM are going to have something. I think if it stays dry, I think Brad and them could really have a good chance at a podium, top 5, depending on where they qualify. In the rain, Brad also says kind of ready for any kind of conditions. The rain will be trickier, but certainly the dry, I think Brad and the KTM are going to have a really good crack at it for that top 3. Let's not forget, looking at the championship, I know we're focusing at the top more on Pecco and Fabio and Aleix, who's battling a bit, but Brad still has all the chance to potentially finish top 3 in the World Championship. That's still a possibility for Brad. That'll be incredible, considering the season and the inconsistency that the KTM has had this year, and it just shows you how Brad has just literally pulled that KTM to all these results. And KTM have improved, there's no doubt about that, but certainly it's Brad just digging deep and getting it up there. So yeah, brilliant day one for Brad. I think it might get a little bit tricky on Saturday, but a really good base to start with. Nice confidence for Brad and KTM, and let's hope that they can build on that, and let's hope for a dry Sunday, because I really think we're going to see Brad and that KTM right up there. Marc Marquez again up there, just showing that he's just getting better, more confident, more fitness, and yeah, the old Marc Marquez is starting to come back. Looks good, smiling, happy, once again, fast and on the pace. Alex Rins, I mean, haven't seen this from Suzuki in a while. Your Phillip Island winner, bringing that confidence and that form into this race. It just shows you how these guys, they just thrive on confidence. Just give them a little bit of confidence and they become untouchable. And that's what the big positive for Brad on this Friday is. He's realistic, and he knows that it's, the bigger picture is that, a lot of riders didn't go out on new tires and but he can take that confidence that they were able to have a good pace straight away after just throwing some new tires at it. So I really do think it's going to be a good weekend there for Brad. My pick, though, other than Brad Binder, of course, is Enea Bastianini. He was the fastest in the test earlier this year. He showed great pace again today, looked confident and comfortable. and I think he's going to be a top pick for certainly a top 3, but potentially the win as well. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how Pecco plays this now that he is the man at the front, now that all the pressure's on him. Tardozzi and all the Ducati camp saying, guys, please stop talking about us winning the championship. It's not over yet. So I think the pressure's there. I really do think the pressure's there. We saw Yamaha, Fabio crumble a little bit, but more so Yamaha crumbling under that pressure. And the pressure's off Fabio now, I think. I think Fabio can now go stick his neck out even more. He has been overriding the bike. We know that. But I don't know. I think it's a little bit of pressure off Fabio, and we could certainly saw him in the pits smiling and buzzing. You didn't look like a rider that's had the run that he has, the DNFs, you're losing the championship lead. Looked like a guy that's, had the weight of the world taken off his shoulders. So that's going to be good to see how he responds now that he's not the leading man in the championship and all that pressure's gone. Aleix Espargaro, of course, he's still in the title mix. Had a terrible day one. FP1 crashed early on. That was one of his bikes out, and his second bike had some kind of electrical or fueling problem. Couldn't get that ready. So Aleix lost a lot of laps there. FP2 had the downpour and the wet. So tough one for Aleix. It's going to be hard to keep himself in this championship, but he said if it's dry on Sunday, he will be competitive. So Aleix Espargaro, another rider that always digs deep and is able to come through. So that's really the highlights from day one. A lot of names up there. Di Antonio was up inside the top 10. Brilliant from him. Bezzecchi again. Mir was up there. And like I said, the likes of Pecco Bagnaia further down. Fabio Quartararo was in 7th, so not a true reflection again. I don't think he had a run on new tyres. So tomorrow, Saturday, FP3 is going to be insanely entertaining because there's so much on the line for all the riders, especially if it's dry, knowing that it might rain potentially later in the afternoon as well. Sepang always throws up these spanners in the works. Big news as well, Pol Espargaro. The man can't buy luck at the moment. He's been handed a 3-grid penalty for his silly mistake, really. He ran off track, came back on, nearly wiped out Johann Zarco in the process, and that's just a demoralized, degraded rider at the moment is Pol Espargaro. I think he's just a beaten man, and he knows better than that, but I don't even think he was thinking, because he's just having such a tough time. But it was dangerous, and it was the right decision. Could have even been worse for him, because that was a bad move from Pol Espargaro, coming out back onto the track without looking, unsafely, and nearly wiped out Johann Zarco. So that's the big talking point. Darren Binder didn't quite get in his rhythm today. FP1 was looking good. A track that he's been to on a MotoGP bike with a test earlier on in the year. Just couldn't get a rhythm going, and then had the crash, missed out on a lot of the session, and then FP2 with the wet. Just didn't get comfortable there. So it's going to be a big Saturday for Darren. Hopefully we can find big improvements there from Darren in FP3, FP4, and then certainly in the qualifying session. So I think it's going to be a very entertaining Saturday. Friday, like I said, there was a lot of tension. A lot of riders seemed to be holding back, and a lot of nerves in the air. Brad Binder took full advantage of that. But I think Saturday is going to be entertaining. So stick around for Paddock Talk Saturday, where I'm pretty sure we're going to be shouting and screaming for a lot of things that happened at Sepang.